welcome back. So I know I'm not using my mascot, but back in the day for my LPS story time, sometimes I would use different LPS, so I'm like, why not bring that back? So instead we are using this gorgeous girl who I have been obsessed with since I got her for Easter. Still no official name, but I'm thinking of some ideas. I'm asking Reddit, I'm asking some other people, so hopefully this gal will have a name very soon. But for now, I just want to use her because she is so adorable. Anyway, so I haven't made an LPS story time in how long? So it's been a couple years. So I figured why not bring that back? Because again, I have a lot going on, but you know, I want to try and make some content, and I feel like this is kind of more simpler content to do, you know, just get in front of the camera and yap, one of the very few things I'm good at. So I figured why not tell a story? And yes, I still have yet to fix my nail. Please do not judge me. So this is a story I've been wanting to tell for many years. I've mentioned it quite a few times, being like, well, I've mentioned before that I have a severe needle phobia, but I've never given the explanation, and I've always said like, oh, I'll tell that story one day, and it's never happened. So today is one day. We are finally telling that story. The story of why I have a severe needle phobia. Well, because there was a bad needle reaction. So let's just get into the story. So this story takes place when I was 5. You guys probably know I'm the most anxious person ever, and I've been that way forever, including when I was 5. So I was 5, and I had to go to our family doctor, old family doctor. He's retired now. Now we have no doctor, but you know, that's another rant for another day. Anyway, I had to go to our family doctor because I had to get some vaccines before I started school. So this was, God, I don't know, sometime in the summer of 2011, I want to say, because, well, Leah's birthday is the last day of May, and I haven't started school yet at this point, so it's sometime, I don't remember exactly, it's sometime in either June, July, or August 2011 when I was 5. That's when this story takes place. So I had this appointment to get some vaccines, and I knew that's what it was because the last time I went to our doctor for, I don't remember what, he mentioned that I would have another appointment to get those. And of course I am terrified because what kid wants to get needles? None of them. Most kids are terrified, especially when they're younger. A lot of them grow out of it when they're older. I am not one of them, but almost everyone is terrified when they're younger. And I was terrified. And I kept telling my parents I did not want to do this. And they were telling me, you know, maybe that's not what you're getting done. When of course they knew that's what I was getting done, but they were hoping that lying and pretending they didn't would help me, which, honestly, I get that you don't want your kid to freak out, but don't lie to your kids. Like, I know they had good intentions, but that just makes them more anxious. I know you don't want them to freak out, but like, just be upfront with them. I think that's the best way to go, even if it's terrifying. Anyway, so I remember days before this incident, a lot of stuff happening, but I also remember just thinking like, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, and I was terrified. So the day comes, I remember the trip to the office, I remember the waiting room being terrified and just asking my parents over and over what was gonna happen, but they were not clear with me. They were just trying to distract me with books and things, but deep down I knew what was happening and I was terrified. So I'm in a panic, but eventually we get called into the room from the waiting room, and I am terrified. I sit down on the table thingy, and the doctor's like, all right, well, I'm gonna get the needles. And of course, I'm immediately like, no, crying and panicking, but there was nothing I could do, and I'm sure doctors don't like doing this, but of course, they have to. So I'm pretty much crying until he walks back into the room. That's when I pulled it together because I was just so embarrassed about crying. And yeah, so I'm like freaking out. But I didn't try and run or fight or anything. I just sat there like a good kid and dealt with it. So he gave me the first one in one of my shoulders, and it actually didn't hurt. I didn't even feel it. I was like, wait, what? That's it? Then he did the second one in the other arm, and that one did sting a little, but it didn't hurt that bad. And it was done. And I was thinking like, oh my gosh, I was panicked for nothing. Oh, thank God. Little did I know. I thought it was all over. But it turns out what I needed to fear wasn't the needle. It was after. Anyway, after it was done, also, yes, I'm still sick, by the way, so I'm sorry if my voice is like, but anyway, after it was done, doctor talked to my parents a bit, and then he started looking at my dad, because at the time my dad had like some shingles, and yeah, so he was just, he was getting better, but like he was having the doctor just check him out. So, you know, now my dad's on the table thing, and the doctor's talking to him, and I'm sitting on my mom's lap on this chair. So I'm on my mom's lap while the adults discuss adult things, and I felt fine until out of nowhere I started getting really bad stomach pain. Now, I think I've said before that I get stomach aches all the time, and including back then, but this felt different. I tried to ignore it, but I eventually just couldn't, so I told my mom I felt sick. 2 seconds later, my face went white and my lips went blue and I started coughing. Everyone starts looking at me and freaking out. My parents, the doctor, everyone. Then my mom lifted me up and the whole room started spinning. Like everything was blurry and twisty. I am now joining in with everyone else panicking. My mom then dragged me across the room and I threw up in the garbage can. And I also have a really bad fear of throwing up, so that made everything worse. Anyway, so I'm coughing and puking in his garbage can, and the doctor, he picked up the phone and called an ambulance. I tried to protest and tell him, no, I don't want that. But I couldn't, because I passed out. It wasn't for very long, it was only for like a few minutes from what I understand, but I passed out and threw up and everything else because I had some kind of really bad allergic reaction to that needle. So this is a really tiny doctor's office, which makes it even more humiliating. They have multiple doctors there, but you know, different doctors and different days, and there are only like 2 exam rooms. So, anyway, after I passed out, I woke up in the room next door, and my dad was sitting next to me, as my mom was taking care of Leah, and who was, again, just a newborn baby at the time. So I wake up in this other room, terrified, but my dad's there and he's like, yeah, you just took a nap for a bit, but like, it's okay, the ambulance is gonna come and take you to the hospital and you're gonna be okay. And you know, I'm freaking out. Then this other like nurse or doctor or whatever comes in and is like, do you want like a pillow or a blanket or anything? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. I kept saying I was scared, and my dad's just trying to comfort me, but, you know, there's no comforting my anxiety most of the time. I was super scared, and then, if this couldn't get any more humiliating, I started peeing myself, which, obviously, I'm like 5 years old and starting school in a few months. I've been potty trained for quite a while, and I do not have accidents, so this was humiliating. It wasn't a lot, like it didn't soak through my pants or anything, but I was peeing myself and it was humiliating. I was like, oh, I can't stop it, I'd rather just go to the bathroom. But they were like, no, stay, lay down. And I'm like, great. Anyway, so when it's a day of throwing up, passing out, and peeing yourself, the needles suddenly don't seem like the worst part of it. But yeah. Anyway, even if it's not a lot, having to sit in any pee for the day is just not fun. So yeah, that was nasty too. Let's just say nothing was good. I think that's a good way to put it. But after a while, the paramedics show up and I go back to the other room. There were like 3 or 4 of them that came in, and my parents are there, and the doctor's there, the poor doctor who's terrified. And they just start talking to me, getting me attached to like all these things, checking over me, hooking me up to things again. and like giving me stickers and stuff, which was pretty cool. So yeah, I got quite a few stickers. Sometimes I couldn't decide, but I'm like, I'll just take that one, I don't know. But yeah, so they were giving me like stickers and things, and that was pretty cool. So after a while, they got everything all set up and started wheeling me out. But before we went, my poor doctor turned his head to my parents and said, yeah, no more needles in my office. Like, I had that man scared. And yeah, he did not want to do any more needles on me after that, and he didn't. So, win-win, I guess. Anyway, so they wheel me out, and it's embarrassing because, again, this is a small, quiet, family facility doctor's office. You don't see ambulances in there or patients, especially 5-year-olds, being wheeled out of there. Like, ever. That just doesn't happen because, you know, medical emergencies, it's not an emergency room. Like, those things don't usually happen in doctor's offices. It's teeny tiny little building. Anyway, so I get wheeled out in front of an entire waiting room, my parents and other people following behind. So it was like a humiliating little parade. Just a big show. Anyway, we get outside. I wanted one of my parents to go in the ambulance with me, but they couldn't do that. So I was just in the back with this guy paramedic. And at this point, since I was like stable enough, like nothing bad has happened since I woke up, they're not like siren blaring rushing to the hospital, but of course they gotta take me there. So I am just in the back of this ambulance with this guy paramedic, and he was actually really nice. So I just yapped a lot, as I did at that age, and well, still do. Nothing's changed, but I just yapped about games and toys and everything like that, and he was very chill about it, so that was lovely. And I didn't have any of my other toys with me except for this little green spiky creature thing. I need to find it. It's somewhere in this house since we moved. I don't know where it is. I gotta find him someday. I don't remember where I got him, but it was just this little like green spiky ball creature that I loved. Like I took that little booger everywhere. His name was Prickly, so yeah, I brought him to the doctor's office, and I was still holding on to him instead of like any of my other stuffed animals. I brought him because he was tiny. Yeah, I don't know where he is, but I do have a similar one that I got like a few years ago out of this bag from a school event. But yeah, he was green, and yeah, pretty similar to this. I'm not exactly sure what creature he is, but yeah, this little spiky dude is what he had. So I had him in my hand, and we talked about him, and yeah, so we just did that on the way to the hospital. And he actually gave me this teddy bear, which I still have, which is, you know, super cute little shirt. Yeah, so he gave me that, and that was super sweet because, again, I didn't have any of my other stuffed animals with me. And they still give these teddy bears out. Like a year or two after this incident, Leah got her leg stuck in her crib, so paramedics had to come and like cut her out. And they gave her like this exact same teddy bear. And then like 10 years after that incident, like literally in 2021, my mom and Kenda got in a car accident. They were fine, but you know, paramedics had to come and check them out, and Kenda was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 at the time, 3, 4, 5, really little. And they gave her like a teddy bear too. I think hers has a blue shirt, but other than that, it's like exactly the same. So yeah, I still have this adorable teddy bear from that incident, so something positive came out of it. Anyway, after a while, we got to the hospital, and I'm pretty sure it was the IWK. We can't remember exactly, but that's what makes the most sense. That's the Children's Hospital here in Nova Scotia, the only children's hospital in Atlantic Canada. But that makes the most sense to me because we went to the city, and that's where it is. There are other hospitals in the city, but again, that's the only children's one. And I was 5 years old, so that's most likely where they took me. I can't imagine they took me to one of the other hospitals in the city when the children's one is right there. So pretty sure it was the IWK, the one that my sister was at weeks ago in that vlog, which I put on private, but I will be putting back up. It's just something came up, so I'm gonna publish it again. But yeah, So yeah, that's like the only time I think I've been in that hospital, like for getting something done, maybe a few other things, but for the most part, I never went there much, even though we should, because they're amazing and they've been so good with Kenda for everything she's been there for, but I never went there much, but the ambulance took me there that time. It just makes the most sense. Anyway, so we get to the hospital, they wheel me in, and then what happened after that, I can't tell you. It's so weird, this story. I remember days before this incident. I remember the day of this incident. I remember the waiting room at the doctor's office. I remember getting the needles. I remember how I felt afterwards. I remember the reaction. I remember throwing up, passing out, peeing myself. I remember leaving the clinic. I remember the ambulance ride to the hospital. I remember the drive home from the hospital. And then I remember days after. But for some strange reason, when we get to what actually happened at the hospital, it's gone. I literally can't remember anything. And it's so weird because I remember everything else about that day. But when we get to what actually happened in the hospital, I have no idea. And it's weird because I was awake the entire time, apart from the few minutes I was passed out at the clinic. But other than that, I was fully awake and conscious the whole time, so I don't know why I can't remember anything. My best bet is that nothing really serious happened because, again, at this point, nothing bad has happened to me since at the office. Like, at this point, I'm pretty stable, yapping, all that. So I guess my best bet on why I can't remember it is it was just boring hospital things. Like, I think they did a couple tests, but I don't remember what they were, so they weren't painful or serious or anything. And then they, like, looked me over and asked me questions, but, like, I don't remember what happened exactly. Like, I think it must have just been boring and non-eventful if I can't remember it. So I have no idea. You think that's the most important part, but I really have no idea what happened at the hospital, and it really wasn't the most important part of the day compared to the ambulance and the incident. But yeah, for some reason, I can't remember what happened at the hospital, so no details there. Like, literally the only thing I remember about the hospital was eating a popsicle. Which I mean is probably the most pleasant thing to remember that you could remember, but it's so weird. That's literally the only thing I remember. But yeah, so I remember they gave me a grape popsicle, but it was white instead of purple. And 5-year-old me is like, what is this? And they explained to me that it's so it doesn't drip and stain like the purple ones do. And I found that so fascinating. And I was like, whoa, it's just like normal purple ones, but it's white and it's good. Yeah. So apparently that was important enough for my 5-year-old brain to remember forever. So yeah. In all the years after that incident, whenever we got like a box of popsicles, I hope we can get some this summer because they're so good with 3 flavors, orange, cherry, and grape. Most of the times the grape ones were purple, but occasionally they were white. And every time they were white, I was like, oh, it's just like what they explained to me back in the hospital. Sometimes they're white, sometimes they're purple. All the ones in the IWK are white. This information must be remembered forever. So yeah, the IWK in 2011 exposed me to white popsicles that remained in my brain forever. So yeah, literally all I remember about that hospital visit was eating a popsicle and being given a barf bag for the car ride home, which I thankfully didn't need because I didn't throw up again except for that incident in the garbage can in the office. But other than that, I wasn't nauseous or anything, but they always give that kind of just in case, no matter what you're going there for. What I do know, though I don't remember what happened, is they weren't exactly sure what it was, but they said it was most likely some kind of allergic reaction to the vaccines. So that is what caused me to gain such a phobia. Anyway, so then we drove home, which I do remember, and then at home we made like a little bed on the couch and I just rested there for a few days. I felt fine, but they were like, just in case we'll let her just kind of rest for a few days. Oh my god. And then a few days later, the doctor calls my mom and he's like, so, how's the kid? Oh, I'm glad you're so concerned about this. So yeah, that was my very traumatic reaction to a vaccine that has given me a severe needle phobia. Because I remember it all in great detail, except for whatever happened at the hospital, but the actual needles and reaction I remember very well, and it was terrifying. So, because of that, I now avoid all needles, which I know is really bad. I don't think I've had any vaccines since that day, and that's not good. And now people find out that and they think I'm one of those anti-vaccines. They cause autism. They have trackers or whatever these crazy people say. First of all, I think I already have autism and I'm pretty sure I did before that incident. So it's not like I could get any more autistic. But no. I am just too terrified to get needles or anything because I immediately just hyperventilate. And it's not like the actual needle I'm scared of. Of course, I'm scared of that too because it hurts and I don't like that. But I'm more terrified for the reaction after. The idea of being in that situation again is terrifying because I'm like, what if I'm allergic? What if I pass out? What if I die? So that's why, for the most part, I've avoided needles ever since. I've only had like blood work a few times, dental freezing a few times, that Toradol shot when I was in the worst pain ever at the hospital in 2021, which go watch that story time if you haven't. But yeah, other than that, I haven't had like vaccines. Like there was a day in grade 7, 2 days actually, to get them done at school, but my parents signed no because we're like, I don't want to risk anything happening at school. That would be humiliating. And of course, my doctor said that he didn't want to give me needles anymore, so I couldn't get them anyway, so that sucks, but I just try and be careful, even though being unvaccinated really isn't good, but what else can I do? Like, I didn't even get my ears pierced until I was 16 because I was such a baby about it. But one day I just decided to do it because I'm like, Leah did it, I might as well. And I was terrified and it hurt, but it wasn't too bad. Although apparently I almost passed out there too because the woman doing it was like, I think you should sit down for a bit. I don't think you're breathing quite right. So I was like, oh, thanks. But no, I'm glad that I've had my earrings in now, and sometimes it hurts taking them out or putting new ones in. It feels like you're getting it done all over again, but it's not that bad, and the needle part is over, so that's something good at least. But yeah, it's really hard to explain to anyone, but that whole incident is why I am terrified. I will cry, I will panic, I will go into fight or flight, I will lose it and just start being a baby because I am terrified of needles now, and there's not much I can do about it. So yeah, I feel really stupid, but after that it's stuck in my head and it's scary. So that is why needles for me are a nightmare beyond your usual. They're scary. I don't want the pain. I don't want that. Like it's different. And of course we don't know for sure, but I was scared. I had my doctor panicked, and I feel like deep down he kept that in his mind. I kept it in my mind every time for the next however many years that I went to see him. Something in my mind was always like, how dare you? You did this to me, even though I know that's not fair on him, but my mind always went there, and I feel like he always kind of remembered it too. Not fully, but like somewhat, he remembered, and I scared him enough to being like, yeah, we're not gonna do any more needles in this office. No. See, I don't think he hated me for that, but I think he hated me for the rest of my life because I was always going in there like every year or a few times a year being like, you know, with my health anxiety, I have a problem, I've done research, this time I'm gonna die, I know it's something bad, I know I'm dying this time, and every time he would tell me no, but I wouldn't believe it, and then I'd have a new problem, and we'd start all over again. Like, I was in there all the time with new problems, being like, this time, sir, I am dying, and every time he'd tell me no, but I annoyed him so much. But that's how it is when you're anxious. You think every health problem is going to be the end of you. And despite all that, despite my opinions on him at times, now we don't have a doctor, so it sucks. We've been on a waiting list for years, but we have no family doctor. I have like a notes app list of health problems that I want to get checked out, but I can't because we don't have a doctor. So I think still every day that I'm dying because I have nobody to check those issues, and it sucks. My mom tells me that I should get blood work done, and that could tell me a lot of things. That's literally her job. She works in blood collection, but because of my needle phobia, I refuse to do that. So yeah, if I die, and it's my fault, but yeah. So yeah, I annoyed him with problems for years. Obviously, that doctor's office brought back terrible memories every time I was in there. I'd be like, this place, this is where it happened, you. Bad memories. But other times, he kind of had a different personality all the time. It was kind of weird. But the last time I saw him in person when I was 16, it's a little story I'm also going to tell in this video because it's hilarious, honestly. So when I was in grade 10 at the end of 2021, like literally December 2021 is when it started, I felt like this weird bump on my scalp, and I was like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, I don't know if it's like a pimple or hair follicle issue. I have no idea. But that formed. I tried to pick it off, and then it like kind of crusted over, and I was like, huh, that's weird. But I just kind of ignored it. It wasn't too bad. When the new year started, 2022, again in grade 10, it started getting really bad. My whole head, like on my scalp, there were just these white, flaky patches, like everywhere, and it was really annoying. They'd flake off in my hair and look really gross, like I had lice or something, like, or severe dandruff. Like it looked gross. It felt gross. It hurt, and then I'd pick it off and it would burn water. Like it sucked. Like for months I had that, and it wasn't going away. Like grade 10 was already not a great time, but that was making it worse because like I was always, even in the warm spring, I'm like wearing my winter hat, or I had to wear like bows or flowers. Like I had to keep my head covered at like pretty much all times because it was just flaky and gross, and we couldn't do anything about it. Starting in early 2022, we tried what we had to get rid of it, like different oils and creams or whatever. And sometimes it actually would work. Like it would clear up for a day or two before it was back to being bad. And we were like, damn it. Multiple times for the next few months, we tried to find me an appointment to start going blonde. But every time something would come up, our hairdresser would have an issue, and it kept getting canceled, and that was getting really annoying. Because beforehand, my mom would be like, okay, do not pick at that stuff on your head for like a week before this appointment. The appointment wouldn't happen. I'd pick it all off, and it would build up. It was so annoying and gross. But yeah, the appointments kept getting canceled, so we weren't getting anywhere. And that was getting really annoying. Eventually the school year ended, and we decided like, okay, there's no point in trying to get it done now. Why don't we have it done like right before you go back to school? And we were like, okay, that's a good idea. But before that, sometime in the summer, we're gonna go to the doctor and figure out what that is on your head and how we can get rid of it. So hopefully it can be gone before we try and get your hair done. And we're like, yeah, that's a good idea. So we didn't know what was wrong with my head, but of course with my health anxiety, I was looking up a bunch of things it could be. And of course my brain is going to cancer, flesh-eating bacteria, flesh-eating fungus, deadly everything. Thinking like I could die. And if I don't die, it'll just keep spreading and there's nothing we can do. And that's awful even if it doesn't kill me. So we had no idea. But we were also thinking, like, best case scenario, it could just be like a simple fungal thing, or eczema, or psoriasis. And I think everyone in my family was saying psoriasis was the most likely answer, because that's kind of like our best description that you could find of it on Google. And we had like a family history of it. Nobody in my house, but like some of my other family members have had it, so we're like, that could very well be it. But we gotta figure out what it is exactly. But, you know, deep down, of course, I'm hoping it's just like psoriasis or eczema or something simple that's not gonna kill me and can be treated at least somewhat. So that's what we're hoping for. Anyways, the summer comes around. It's sometime in July, and my mom says this is the day of my doctor's appointment. So I get ready. Grandmother comes over to watch Ken and Leah. We drive out 25 minutes to the doctor's office. And we walk in and find out that our appointment is actually next week, not this week. And we felt really stupid. But amazingly, our doctor, even though it was the wrong day and he was like on break at the time, he agreed to take us in anyway, which was amazing. So, of course, we're embarrassed, but very thankful, because that was very nice of him. I think most doctors would be like, no, your appointment's next week. But he agreed to take us in anyway, and it was only like 5 minutes. And I think that's why he agreed, because it's different than our normal appointments that I've been going to for the last few years, where it's like, okay, tell me what's happening, what do you feel, when does it happen, you know, like asking history, being like, let's feel this, let's listen to this, like testing and trying to figure out a story. This was very different, because this is, well, there's something on my head, look at it, you gotta take like a sample of it and send it off. Like, that's very different. So we were only in there for like 5 minutes. He looks at my head and he's like, oh yeah, I see that. And he didn't even look at all of it. My mom's like, there's more, but he refused to look at all that. He's just looking at that one spot, and he could tell. And he's like, huh, okay. So from just looking at it, I'd say it's kind of looking like psoriasis. And we're thinking like, yeah, that's what we're thinking too and hoping for, because that's like the best case scenario. And my mom brings up like, yeah, we have some people in the family who have it. He's like, yeah, that makes the most sense to me, but of course I don't know just by looking at it. So we're gonna scrape like a little bit of it off and test it, and I'll give you the results so we can see if it's psoriasis, if it's something else, if it's something, could be something rarely but possibly more serious, or like what treatment we need. So we're gonna test it and see. Anyway, so he scraped just like a bit of the flaky stuff off my head. I was scared. He was even like, you can close your eyes if you want. he's very yes, he doesn't hate me that much, despite how much I embarrassed him when I was 5. But no, it didn't hurt at all. He just kind of scraped a little bit off and said, okay, so we'll send that off and you guys can come back in a few weeks and I'll tell you the results. And we're like, okay. So I'm nervous, but of course I wasn't expecting to get answers this appointment, but I'm feeling a little bit better, being like, okay, he thinks it's psoriasis, so that's the most likely. There are other options which are scary, but hopefully it's just that. Anyway, so yeah, just 5 minutes. He took us in on the wrong day. We get in the car, my mom calls my dad and my grandmother, and they laughed at her. But yeah, we went home. A few weeks later, we had another appointment for the results. So we went in on the correct day this time, I should mention. It was the correct day this time. And I still can't believe this happened. So me being me, I'm terrified for these results, because I'm like, it could be something awful. It could be deadly. I could die. This could be the end when I find out what this is. But no, we walk in and we sit down, and this man, he walks in and starts with, so unfortunately, and then pauses for a very long time. And I damn near died, because what kind of doctor starts test results like that? Like, my mom told me, like, you looked like you were about to pass out. And I felt like it. I was like so close to throwing myself off the 3-foot chair I was on. Like, it was terrifying. So I'm thinking I'm about to die and here I have cancer or something. But instead, he starts again. He's like, so, unfortunately, it looks like the test came back positive for the psoriasis story. And I'm just like, what? Sir, that is not how you deliver the best case scenario. Like, because again, that was like the best case scenario. Something that's not gonna kill me and can be cleared up. But he made it sound like I was gonna die. I mean, to be fair, having anything wrong is unfortunate. But in that situation, that is the best case scenario. So why would you start with, so unfortunately? What kind of doctor? That's why I'm like, does he hate me? Because, like, why did he want me scared? I don't know if he meant to, but like, oh my god. Anyway, so my blood pressure eventually came back down, and he's like, yeah, so it's like the psoriasis issue, but I'm gonna prescribe you like steroids that you put on your head, and it should clear it up. So yeah, we walked in the office that day. I eventually got the stuff for my head, and it worked. Sometimes it does flare up again, and it does get bad, but nowhere as bad as it used to be, and that stuff really helped. So that's good. But yeah, that was the last time I ever saw him in person, when I was 16, summer 2022, like a year before he retired. So yeah, that was my last impression of him. So my whole life with him was chaotic. But yeah, I do wish he was still our doctor, because anything is better than nothing, and when you have no doctor in a trashy province for medical health, it's bad. So yeah, even though I didn't always have the best time with him, it's not really his fault, and having no doctor now really sucks. Again, my family's been on a waiting list for 3 years, but I don't think we're getting anywhere because we still don't have anyone. Meanwhile, my mom tells me that she'll meet or talk to people at work who will be like, yo, we just moved from Ontario and we already have a doctor. Like, how is that fair? I fear I'm never gonna have a doctor again, and my notes app list of problems. Oh, should we ever get a doctor, they should be scared of me. I'm gonna go in with my whole list and be like, well, fix me. And they're gonna be like, okay, let's send this one to the psych ward. No, this is getting all over the place. But yeah, that was that other story of why I'm not really sure what my doctor thinks of me, if he likes me enough to take me in early, but not enough to not terrify me. So, I don't know. But yeah, my medical history is something else. Just crazy incidents. But I am still alive right now, so I am grateful for that. Anyway, the main point of the video was the story of the origin of the needle phobia. So that is why I am a little baby and scared of needles, and why I have a very complicated relationship with that doctor until the end. So yeah, that's just another story about my life and the craziness in it. So yeah, I hope you somewhat enjoyed my pain. So yeah, I'll just say that. Anyway, thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment if you can, and we'll see you later. Bye.